I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Welcome to Astrology Live, episode number 2. I'm your host, Alex Harper, and joining me is Gracie. How you guys doing?
Hey, everybody.
So we are back with the second episode, and there's been some things in the news today. Mr. Trump, President Trump, is in the news once again. He had a verdict. So we thought that to start this off, we would throw Trump's chart up on the screen, look at his transits, see what's going on with him. So yeah, I will. Let's get that started. Hope everyone is having a good time. It was really fun to see everyone at NORWAC. Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was great. It was great. Yeah, it was lovely. It was.
I saw
lovely.
so many amazing selfies. What was like one of your favorite parts of going?
Probably, I mean, meeting Rick Levine was a big one, because I've been a big fan of his for a long time. And, his Aries stellium is even more impressive in person, right?
That's amazing.
The Aries energy is just off the charts with Rick. So, yeah, I loved that. That was a great highlight. I met so many people that I'd only interacted with online. It was awesome to get to put faces to names and talk, have a drink with people. So I really enjoyed it. So yeah, hi everyone. If I met you at NORWAC, it was great. How's your Gemini season been so far, Gracie?
You know, the sun's in my intercepted 12th house and we're just chilling, and Jupiter's there having a party. Venus has been coming through. You know, I just kind of feel like it's that open door prison season for people that have Gemini in the 12th house, because we can be very social and liven ourselves up and get out of that like isolation and loneliness funk. And then we can also be in that isolation bubble and love every single minute of it. So, you know, there's just a lot of duality going on, especially in the subconscious. And it's just been a fun ride. You get it, though. You're Gemini 8th house. So it's like,
Yes.
you know all about the weirdness.
Yeah, Gemini can be very occult. Yeah, hello everyone in the chat. Bean Dip, Jupiter's Bunny.
Yeah, it's Rose's birthday.
Yeah. Hello.
We're
Happy
doing a happy birthday shout out. I said I would smoke a joint in her honor.
Yes. Yes, happy birthday for sure. I'll have another cigarette in her honor.
Yes.
Because it's harmless tobacco. That's
Harmless tobacco. It's nature's gift.
Okay, let's look at Trump's chart here for a second.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a minute with what's going to happen in the astrology community. So this is cool to see.
So he had the verdict come back today, right? And can everyone see this? I need to zoom in here.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me. Okay. Cool. All right. So here we go. First off, the thing that jumps out to me right away with these transits is this Uranus and Mercury on the midheaven, right? And it's also squaring his natal Mars in the 12th, right? He has and there was something else I was going to point out. Oh yeah, Saturn here is making a harsh aspect with his sun, right? So Saturn is here squaring his sun. I don't know. This just doesn't look, and his moon, right? It's squaring that full moon that he was born under, and Yeah, this just does not look very favorable, right? I am not surprised that he had this conviction today and was found guilty. I mean, also here Mars squaring Saturn, right? So, I'm struggling to see any kind of positive activation for Trump today, right? I don't know what, right? Like, what do you think, Gracie? Like, is there
I mean, you're
anything,
talking about all
Gracie?
those 22 squares, and it all squares the very beginning of the second house. So this is a financial hit. This is a hit of grand proportion for this man. I think it's very positive, but it's not because I'm, anti-Trump or pro-Trump. I am anti-circus of politics, but I am pro-change. And I think that a lot of corruption and a lot of veil lifting is happening right now and kind of getting revealed right now, and the things that have been happening behind closed doors, we are going to see more of that being revealed. And Uranus and Mercury, it's like a nice little jab, a nice little message being carried out there with this transit. And with his general demeanor, there's going to be spin. There's going to be, this isn't over. This is just what we have, kind of like a preview of going into November's energy, just with this election going on and just the general intensity of this year's election. I mean, every election year is intense, but as far as a lot of mundane astrologers, I've seen people talking about the build up to this election is just going to be insane. So seeing this as a nice little, I guess, opening act of the insanity happening in the election phase, I feel like this is going to, um, I guess, start a lot more questions rather than answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, I mean I mean, who knows where it goes from here, right? I mean, I have a theory, but
Okay.
this is, I mean, this just does not look good for him, right? And I don't see, I don't see that there's, based on this, like, I don't know, maybe as things go forward with an appeal, it could improve, but, um, also Saturn rules his seventh house, right? His seventh house cusp is 29 Aquarius here, right? And uh, he's just that's just Saturn is not going to be through squaring his sun for a while.
No.
So,
And
I
having that
think
anaretic rising to begin with in Leo and having that be ruled by the 22-degree Gemini sun, those degrees alone are quite, I guess, putting you in not a detriment, but definitely putting you at an aggressive approach to life. And I don't think this is a situation that aggression is going to pan out well for as far as approach goes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so we're also going to have this Mars retrograde over the winter, right? And that's going to be after the election. But Mars is going to station retrograde before it conjuncts his Pluto and then go back into his 11th, right? Now, um I will I'll just I'll say this. I will put out my reasoning perhaps more later. But just for just to get it out there, I think that what's going to happen with this election, astrologically, looking at the different candidates' charts and then looking at the eclipses generally and how they're hitting the U.S. natal charts, I feel like what is going to happen is it's gonna be a repeat of 2020, right? And there's gonna be a contested election, right? Now, in 2020, Trump was not able to get what's called standing in court, right? So, for those that don't know, right, when you sue, you have to have something called standing, right? So that means basically that you have a right to bring that action before the court and have the court rule on it, right? And Trump could not get in any of his lawsuits. They all got thrown out on the basis of lacking standing. Right now, I think that there's something is going to change and that there's going to be some kind of discrepancy or some event that's going to occur that's going to be like kind of like come out of left field and be like a black swan type of thing. And then Trump is going to actually be able to get standing this time. Right. And then it's going to get appealed into the courts, right? And I think that the Supreme Court is going to end up making the final decision on who wins this election. And I think that whatever they decide, a lot of people are going to be unhappy with it, right? And it's basically guaranteed to be a mess, right? I think it's guaranteed to not go well, right? And that basically whatever the courts decide, there's going to be significant portions of the population that are going to be unwilling to accept it, right? So now, as to what the court is going to decide, maybe I will have a prediction on that a little bit later. But that's as far as I've gotten so far. Political astrology is not necessarily my thing, but it's been so popular. Everyone's been talking about it. I thought I should at least take a look and see what I thought. I don't know. What do you think about
Absolutely.
that?
You're like the astrology community's legal team. So you kind of have to say something about it. You don't have an option. So I think you're 100% spot on as per usual. And my political astrology experience is from studying the Kennedy family. They are fascinating. I also am determined to pinpoint the astrological curse in the family. I think it has a lot to do with Joe Kennedy and his treatment of the daughter Rose with the lobotomy and all that. But political in general, I wanted to be president of the United States when I was growing up, and that was like my, mission. And then I realized how much government is fucked up, and I didn't want to go in and do all the, gritty work. And I saw what kind of the political atmosphere did to people. And with Trump, I think it has magnified all the qualities that he wishes weren't really authentically him, the things that he might try to hide a lot. That kill or be killed son in the 10th house is very much something that his shadow can come back to haunt him if it's not integrated well. And I think we can tell that he's not exactly embraced his mistakes in life. In fact, he's just kind of repackaged them as grand ideas and things that never happened with his PR team. So I absolutely think that there's going to be a process involved, and it's very much going to be stage like you mentioned.
Yeah, because like as bad as it looks for Trump, right? Like it does look bad today, right? Like and he did have a bad result today. But if you are rooting against Trump, you looking at his transits for election night, um, they look more positive, right? It's got Jupiter here. Here, let me get the highlighter out. We got Jupiter here making a pretty positive transit going over his 10th house sun and node. Um, we have what else do we have? We've got
That lunar return
the lunar return conjunct Venus,
and that
right?
south node. I really do like that south node there.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't think this spells victory for Trump, right? But I don't think it spells defeat either. Like this is one of the reasons where it looks like has he pulls something out of the bag at the last moment and is able to prolong his fate, right? Like that's kind of what I'm seeing. It's like the wall, like in Star Wars when they're in the trash compactor and like
Y-
the walls are closing in, right? And then at the last second they find a way out. That's what this looks like, right? So, I think that, what that basically it's not going to be over on election night, and that this is going to have to play out in the courts. Now, once we get, once these lawsuits are actually filed, then it'll be easier to make predictions, right? Because then you can use the inception chart of the lawsuit in order to look at, the likelihood that he's going to be successful, right? So, I don't know. Do you have any? What do you think about that? Do you want to? Well, do you want to talk about his the election night? Should I pull that back up?
Yeah, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
I think it's very interesting to look at, and I think people can really learn a lot from these public events. Whether, you know, I think the whole world pays attention to the U.S. election, even though that could very much be a false statement.
I think they certainly are this year. So I don't know. What do you think about his chart for election night?
I really enjoy having that Jupiter in the 10th house, and it's going to be something that amplifies and boosts his ego and boosts his reputation and gets people talking about him. He's going to be the talk of the town for quite some time with Mars right there. with his Venus and his Saturn, and then also with his Pluto, there's going to be this like sort of masculine awakening slash reckoning energy coming about the closer we get to Mars retrograde. And I believe having so much of that personal energy and planets being touched by Mars, it's going to be very much amplified. And I believe his 11th house is intercepted. I know that I had that on my chart that I had for him. So this like community energy is not always natural to him, and that's the one thing that I've noticed about studying his energy. The way he dances obviously is something that people always talk about, but having his Venus in Cancer and having his MC ruled by Venus, and his Venus is also ruled by the moon, obviously he's got a lot of just like blurted out and figured out later energy, and I think he is actually a way more nervous person um than he lets on to be, or people
Oh,
assume him to be.
absolutely, he is,
Like,
right? He
I
is,
mean, we all know he's insecure, but there's
yeah,
like an
he's very
actual nervous
reactive
child in
and
there.
insecure, and behaves childishly, and this just says kind of whatever comes to mind, right? I mean, that's one thing is that he's I guess he's nothing if not reactionary, right? That's like kind of the one thing you can count on him to be is reactionary. Um, so yeah, but basically, I feel like the transits look bad for Trump basically until this point, right? And this seems. I mean, we've also got Jupiter trine his natal Jupiter, right?
And that
Um,
Vesta too.
yeah, yeah. Uh, his Vesta's over here, and his where's transit Vesta? Oh yeah, transit Vesta's down here on Juno. I mean, I don't know. I think also we've got you know, Lilith here moving through his second, right? Third by whole sign. I don't know. I think that might that might bring in some like favorable money or favorable communications or favorable support, right? Like I especially with Jupiter being here and it being trined, it's like this kind of looks like someone coming in to like pull his bacon out of the fire, right? Like he's
Yeah, it does
screwed
kind of look
up.
like some feminine energy too.
Yeah, it looks like someone comes in and then like, okay, well here's some money to like, fund some legal campaign to contest the election and keep yourself out of jail, right? It just seems like he'll have some kind of assistance to prolong uh what he's been putting us through, right? Like so
Yes.
yeah, unfortunately my prediction is that this is, it's not all over but the crying, right? There'll be, or I guess the crying will extend for months and months, right? That's my prediction. um, uh, yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we moved on?
Just for generally for 2024, try to stay out of like hush money situations, everyone. That's really what we can learn from this situation.
Yeah, maybe don't have your lawyer bribe people, right? Maybe that's like some
So
good astrological advice, right? Like
yeah, there we go.
don't have your lawyer bribe people and commit fraud, right? That might not be the best decision. Um, but I mean, like I said, this is yeah, I think Mars, if Mars would have just gone through and is not going to station retrograde, like I feel like the Mars retrograde could save him. If it just plowed through his 12th house, then it might be worse. But I don't know. I think this Mars retrograde might actually help Trump.
What would be more obnoxious though? Like Trump after spiritual awakening or Trump now?
Oh, definitely Trump after a spiritual awakening, right? Like that would be incredibly difficult. That would be awful, right?
Like
Like
he just goes and does
there's
ayahuasca with
this
his
meme where
bros.
it's like Trump dressed up in Buddhist garb and he's like, "Oh, no one transcends their ego better than me," right?
It's like
Yeah.
not this Gemini male thing again. No.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I think that we can learn so much from people's rises and falls in the public eye. And that's kind of part of being in the spotlight, which is why I think it's interesting to see so many people studying celebrity charts, especially like with the Diddy situation going on. There's just so many like downfalls happening right now, which I think everyone in astrology kind of saw coming with, you know, Pluto and Aquarius and all that. But yeah, it's just been a really interesting time for sure.
Yeah, yeah, the stuff with the celebrity charts are actually really cool. That's kind of how I taught myself a lot of astrology when I was starting out, is that I would get like celebrities charts and then look up when they were in drama in like the tabloids, right? And like, you
Yes.
know, when this guy cheated on his wife, right? And what transits he was going through when that, you know, and that kind of stuff can really help you learn, like, because it's like you get to practice on a client that you don't have any responsibility to, right? Because they're a celebrity, you can you can play around with it and have fun, and there's no risk of doing something that could be harmful, right? Because if you're like, you know, just starting out, just trying to learn, and you do this on a client's chart, you know, I'm just a very big believer in practicing on celebrity charts. I think that it can really help you learn.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I think we have our first guest that's joining to have her chart read. So let's say
Yeah.
hello.
Oh,
Hello, Mariah.
can you see me?
Yes, you're on.
No way. I can't. Okay, so I just see a black screen,
Oh, we can see you.
and you can
Is
hear
this
me.
Canadian
Yep.
technology?
I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Ruben, my fiance's in the background. God bless him. He's
What up, Ruben?
What
I
up,
love
man? How are you?
We have gone international, everyone. Astro Live
international.
has broken the
International
Midwestern
love.
seal.
Okay, so I hope I don't have pizza in my teeth because I can't see myself or whatever. But
You look great.
I am loving what you guys are doing so far. We've been listening. We were eating our pizza, and I told Alex before, I was like, I'm at the bar right now. I brought my headphones, like I'm ready.
That's where
But,
Alex does the best work, I feel.
you know, have a couple beers, like go home and like whatever. So now I made my way home. We're having pizza, and we were listening to what you guys were saying, and it was really cool. And it was fun. I love listening to the charts of people and humans because Ruben, like I said,
to participate.
like I said, God bless him. And sorry, I just say goddess bless. And you know what? He corrects me sometimes. He's like, no, say goddess bless. And I'm like, okay.
Yes.
But, right? Like, and he was like, no, I think this about Trump and I think that about Trump. And I'm like, no, like, babe, like, listen, they are reading the chart. Like, they are reading the birth and the astrological time and like real things that are happening. And he's like, oh, like, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm trying to approach it from, you know, like objectively as I can, right? Setting aside, you know, my personal feelings about like, um, you know, and just trying to look at it as like, you know, if this was a client that came to me and was like, okay, you know, does this date look like success or trouble for me, right? Like, am I gonna have something? Is there anything I need to be worried about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I
That's
approach it, right?
preparation. I'm fucking raw dogging this shit. I need to think about that. You know?
Every time we talk about your chart, though, it's like the perfect timing. So I feel like this is gonna
I know,
be
and that's because I try to live my life as intuitively as possible. And I think that when you just live in the intuition, you connect
Yes.
with these things also naturally, and you will connect with certain times in the skies. And it's because, and my opinion is because it's happening in the sky, and it's just sending these like funnels of energy, and you pick them up when you're intuitive. And
Yeah.
if you're not intuitive, like, that's okay, like, it's fine. But you might like feel tension, you know, because you're not living in that flow and living with the energy that's coming with you. And I just think that it's really crazy because I was talking to Gracie about this earlier. Like, there's just certain times when certain stars are in the sky and you just feel a certain way, you know?
Absolutely.
Right? It happens with women every month. It happens with people every day. Like, you know, you can't avoid it.
Absolutely.
You can't.
The full moon energy is real.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have Alex's perspective of your chart because I've seen. So I can't wait to hear Alex
Hey,
dive into this.
Yeah, I have not seen it. Yeah, I've not seen it. I've kept
have
it
you?
kept it
Okay.
real, and I'm reading this live with no prep, like I've said I would. So, do you want
Oh my
to
god, I forgot this
message
was
me,
like
or do you
part
want
of
to?
it.
Are
I
you
was
all
just
right
chatting.
saying your birth information over this air, or do you
I
want to
don't
message
give a
it to
fuck.
me?
No, I'm okay.
All right, cool. All right, what's your Oh, and before we just do this, someone in the chat said thoughts on sentencing. I don't think that there's going to be any sentencing that's going to happen before
Oh,
the election. I think that the lawyer, it's so close, and the lawyers will find a way. I mean, maybe they'll sentence him, but he'll
babe,
find a way to get.
could you
They'll find the appellate bond or something like that. They'll do something to delay
It's
the
yeah.
sentencing, right? Like he's gonna find a way out of that. I think. I mean, yeah. So, all right, Mariah, what is your? Give me your information.
So you don't have it.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I was born December 12th, 12/12/94. Just doxed my fucking age live. Just
And
kidding.
that's okay. I put my whole chart up after Alex
No,
said, I think it'd be good to break the stigma. I'm like, you're right.
it's like this.
But how do
Um. Okay, so my arm is tired, so I'm getting sick.
What time?
I believe it was around 4:30 in the morning. I feel like my mom said 4:40, but I feel like that's like too magical and like it makes me doubt what she said. But it was around 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
You need to know the place, right?
Yes.
Kitchener, Ontario.
Kitchener, Ontario.
I feel like
It might be New Berlin at that time.
shut up. Whoa.
That was a good joke.
That
Come
was
on.
a historical joke that's funny to my region.
I saw my laugh. I got it.
I'm laughing. I'm having a great
How do you
time.
spell that? How do you spell that city?
It's like kitchen ER.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kitchen ER. And it
Kitchen ER.
used to be New Berlin. Guess the time before the fucking World War II.
Oh my
1930.
god.
Funny joke.
It was fun.
I don't understand Canada. I like how your name is Mariah on the video. That's perfect.
Put it in and then I forgot that I tried to I went back and I pushed delete at the same time. I was like, I hope that didn't save. And then I was in the chat. So
I love it.
I was like, okay, I'm Mariah G. But it's
Oh,
Mariah.
well. We can't. It can't be perfect, right?
No.
Okay,
really
so does this look like the right chart that I've got up on the screen?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I really wish that I could see you. I would love
Oh.
that.
Yeah, it's a Scorpio rising. That's the right chart. the
Yeah,
one I
10
have.
degrees Scorpio rising. Is that
Oh
correct?
wait. Okay, so I moved something, but my screen is still black. So if you can see me, that's cool.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, no, I just see black. So I can kind of see. No, I can kind of see you guys, but they're really tiny. So maybe I will. Anyways, now I can kind of see you. It's like the background of like a galaxy.
Yes, that's us. And then a circle.
Yes, but it's just me that's live, which is black. So that's okay because now
It's
I'm
all right. Well,
Yeah.
we're the ones reading your chart. You don't need to see it, right?
But I can't see anything. Oh, but
Yeah.
yes, Scorpio rising.
Yeah, Scorpio rising, 10 degrees, 35 minutes.
Yes.
Cool.
Sure, I don't know the time in the minutes. I know Scorpio rising, Sagittarius.
I am
and-
gonna need one of those.
One of what?
Just so you know.
I can read your chart. We can all read your chart.
Okay, so I guess I'll just jump right in here with what jumps out to me. I mean, I see that you've got you've got planets changing signs, right? You've got Jupiter has just ingressed into Sagittarius, and Mars is leaving Leo, going into Virgo. Now, when a planet is ingressing, right, that kind of gives it more juice, right, in the natal chart, and so that those planets are going to kind of be more active in the native's life, right? Jupiter also rules your Saturn and a lot of spirit, right? And So I feel like Jupiter is probably going to be pretty big influence for you. I mean, Jupiter transits will have been interesting for you, I would think, especially because you've got Jupiter in the first house by whole sign, or first house by Placidus, second house by whole sign. Um, do you make money through Jupiterian means? Like, do you do any kind of teaching or perhaps like travel for work a lot?
I don't.
Um,
Well,
Used to, used to.
no, I just quit my travel job.
oh, so you did have a traveling job.
Yeah, so I had a traveling job, but I didn't travel, but it was for a travel agency, and God
Mm,
bless her. I had this, this remote work that I needed. With any other job, I just picked it up, and since then I got a full time job, and I just didn't need her work anymore. But it was she's a travel agent, and she was on a TV show, and I was kind of like, cool. She has good contacts, like whatever, but it became too much because of people that were traveling.
right.
So, yes, and I travel
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Well, Jupiter is going into
But I
your
just
eighth
quit.
house. So I guess that could be shakeups with
Yeah.
contracts and dealings with other people, right? Eighth house transits can often, shake up. Seventh house matters because the eighth supports the seventh, right? So, it could. I guess it's not surprising that you are, rethinking contracts at this time because you're
There
in a seventh house perfection year, aren't you?
no.
Or no, you will be. You're in sixth house right now, so it's Mars right now.
So the
Okay.
New York.
I love Mars.
Yeah, I do too.
I feel. I don't know. And I've seen your tweets recently. Like, you keep tweeting about Mars, and I'm like, yes. Like, I just want to know more about Mars and how to like embody that. Like, kind of. I don't know. For me,
What I
Mars is.
love about your Mars is it's at my favorite degree of Leo, and it's also Trump's rising sign, so that's kind of fun. Um, it's
Sorry.
represented in the Sabian symbols as a mermaid has climbed the rocky shore of a bleak coast. She
Oh my God.
awaits the prince who will bring her immortality.
And the prince.
I want to know more about Sabian, like, for real.
Yes, I mean I'm doing a whole article in my magazine in summer solstice that you will also be in. So that's perfect.
I'm gonna read it for sure. I'm gonna read it for sure.
Yes. And I
It
just
was
think that's such a like beautiful degree of Mars because it's like you're very much, while it's a very masculine obviously planet and it's a masculine placement, you're bringing this femininity, but it's also kind of like this like bleak waiting for this prince to show up, but I know with your law of attraction work and your manifestation work that you've kind of talked about how you manifested this partner to show up in this perfect prince.
yeah.
I feel like can kind of represent that situation. And now I'm showing that I know too much about Mariah and I'm not biased, so I'm not going to read anymore.
Well, so for your Mars in your chart, so you got Mars ruling the moon here down in Aries, right? The moon rules your lot of fortune, right? And Mars is ruled by the sun here in Sagittarius, which is ruled by domiciled Jupiter. So, that this Mars Jupiter connection comes up with you through this rulership scheme. And I would imagine that this interaction with Mars, moon, and the lot of fortune is like um kind of like having to do something first before you know if you like it, right? It's like it's like you can think about things all you want and try and make up your mind, but like basically as soon as you engage in the action, then then you're gonna actually know. And all of that thinking and all that going back and forth with the Aries moon trining the sun, right? That's going to kind of you're gonna just oh do I feel like taking action or should I think about it, right? And that's like the pull, but usually I think you'd probably find that when you actually take action, that's when you know. What do you think about that? Does
Yeah.
that
No.
resonate?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I was agreeing with you the whole time. Like, I was like, whoa, because I'm so impulsive in my life that I'm learning to try to not do that, but at the same time also understanding that's a part of who I am. Like, if I am able to take those impulsive decisions when I need to and cut something off that's not good for me, then I can be like, you know what, do I just let this go with my recent travel job? Or do I think like, no, this is actually like draining my entire self and like putting my body in these other countries? Do you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
was such an, like, there are people at this time in another country that I'm kind of responsible for if something's happening in Italy, and
Right.
they can't get a tour guide at this time, and like it's something that maybe I fucked up. This was my last job, was because I fucked up, and I'll say this, I don't give a fuck, because I didn't really need this other job, and it just caused me so much stress because somebody in another freaking country, because of my mistake, maybe had a little bit of stress, and I was like, you know what, I don't need to think about that. And
Yeah,
so
your ninth house is ruled by the moon too, and ninth house is house of travel, international presence, and all that. It's ruled naturally by Sagittarius. So the fact that your ninth house is ruled by your Aries moon, you're basically like, what the fuck do you want me to do? I'm in here, you're there. What do you want? Like
I
that's
was
very much it's very like Sopranos energy.
Yeah.
I don't want to, and you know what? And it's just, it was my choice. Do I want to feel a part of being responsible for this anymore or no? And like, it didn't go any further. And I really love the person I was working for, but I just couldn't pay attention to it like I needed to. And, you know, when you think about these kinds of things in another freaking country at a different time at 3 a.m. in the morning, you have to check when these people are doing their things. It messes
That's a
with you.
lot. Yeah.
Well, so here's a possible suggestion, right? Just based on your chart. So instead of like having to look after physical people, right, and be responsible for them, you might find it's better for you to manage other people's money, right? Because you've got uh, Mercury Kazemi here in the second house, ruled by Jupiter, right? And Mercury rules your eighth and your 11th, right? So the eighth is other people's money, right? Other people's resources, and the 11th is profit, gain, income for yourself,
Their
right?
money.
So, so Mercury down here being Kazemi, being in the heart of the sun, being this part of the Sagittarius stellium that you got going on here, I feel like that would be very supportive of managing money for other people, and that you could probably make some good money with that. You know, I don't know. Have you ever done anything like that? Like,
For me, that's a part of like sales. Like, you can have things that cost a certain amount of money and know how to flip them into more money, and then, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I've tried before, and it's, you know, it's one of those things that if you try it once, then it doesn't work, or it does, and like it's okay, but you have to learn. Do you know what I mean? And so we've kind of started to learn, but I would rather just take work and make money that we have and put it somewhere. You know, even if it's international.
right,
I feel
right.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because you have that Mars ruled sixth house, and then you have Ceres on your MC. It's like, hey, you showing how you nurture yourself and how you love is a huge part of your reputation, and showing your softness and showing that side of you that's able to kind of like show off your nurture. I don't want to say that Leos are like, look how good I can take care of you, look how good I can take care of you, but like, kind of feel like that could be a theme.
Yeah.
And with that solar ruled 10th house, you know, and your loud Sagittarius sun, you're gonna have to be kind of like a fire starter in a lot of areas. So I feel like Aries ruled sixth house a lot of the times are very good entrepreneurs. And that's, I think a lot of the things I've mentioned to you are just like, you can do this on your own. You are the star. You are the star. You are the director and showman of the whole thing. And one thing that I really love about Mariah is on her YouTube channel, she does not edit. She is fuck it, we're going live every single time. You know, so she really embodies this show's introduction so well. Um,
Nice.
but Alex, you're so spot on with that, you know, being a little bit more kind of like broad when you think about like terms of money and like estate management. I feel like it's the same thing. And I feel like you have done house sitting, or like you could easily live on somebody's like multi-million-dollar property and just take care of it for them and then like record cool shit there. Like that's kind
Yeah.
of what I feel like.
The
You know, I
vibe.
don't know if a Sagittarius and responsibility for other people's money ever is like their first thing to think of, but definitely something that they can like live in, and very like Jupiterian, and like a first house Jupiter and first house Pluto. I feel like you just have so much big, powerful energy behind yourself. It'd be a shame
Yeah.
to like sit behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I feel like
Help me
so
out.
with this, she's got the sun trining the moon, and then both are trining the midheaven, right, and trining
Oh
Ceres,
yeah.
right. I feel like that. So the lights, the sun and the moon are like, you know, our personas, and people see us through the lights, right. And I could see this being supportive of maybe being someone like a publicist, or someone that um, you know, puts together a platform to make other people visible, right? And it's like you, because your lights are below the horizon, right? So it's like you get attention from being the person to shine the light, right? Like it's like the lights are pointing at your midheaven, right? But they're underneath. So it's like you will gain exposure through um helping, or like putting the spotlight on others, right? And then that is like, then everyone wants to know, well, who's operating the spotlight, right? You know, especially if it's like, it's like a like a publicist, right? So I don't know. I think that that would also be supportive with this kind of
Yes.
action here, right? So I don't know. Since you're in the market for a new job, I mean, these are all kind of viable things that are kind of
Hey,
related to what you've already been doing.
yeah, and that's true. And for me, I don't think life is a job. You know what I mean? Like if I find a job that I like and it's good, then great. Um, but if you have to work a job, then it's best to do something that like kind of also gives you time to think about other things. I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Do you know what I mean? Like if you, I don't,
That's very Jupiterian of you, by the way.
because I don't want to think that anybody's job, if it's unless they're just like totally like a workaholic and like just love their job, like it should
People
be able to
deserve to exist, and that's it. Like people deserve that
and have
ease of
fun
life.
and like do things for fun. And like for
Hmm.
me, sharing stuff that I share, like that's for fun for me, and I have the time to do that. And I'm really, I take the time to do that, and I want to make the time to do that. And I just think like the more I guess that you can promote that, I think is a good thing. And
Absolutely.
I tell people
Yeah.
all the time, if some people, I get people like my brother, I love him, he's a Pisces, and he's like, he'll say, oh, I don't know what to do with my time, like whatever. I'm like, dude, like just like fucking take a video and like post it on the internet. Like who gives a fuck?
See what happens. That's very what Jupiter and Gemini is all about at the moment. It's like you're going to post shit and you're going to share things and you're going to share thoughts for better or for worse. And I feel like if people just give it a chance or try it out, it can definitely be beneficial. I
Well,
see where you're
yeah.
coming from there.
I agree. And this goes back to the Mars in your chart, right?
Mm.
Because Mars is ruling your Venus and your moon, right? And so it's like, that like you were talking about having fun and like looking good and taking action, like you're
Yeah.
just like okay, well we got to do it, right? Like it's got to be fun and we got to do it, right? It's like cuz Venus and the moon are both but those are the planets that are kind of going to kind of bring you experiences that are going to be subjectively pleasant, but they're in Martian signs, so this could be like, pleasure
No,
from
like
acting, like taking action. I mean, how were you? Are you athletic at all, or were you when you were younger? I mean, it's
I was
kind of
never
like
like athletic, but like I run. Like
right.
I go all the time. I've always kind of like made time to at least do like a little workout by myself. Um, since I was like fucking 12 years old. It's crazy. But I remember reading my chart for like the first time. I was like, oh, that's like a Mars thing. Okay, like that makes sense. Because I didn't really know why I did it, but it just
Yeah, you
seemed
have that grand fire trine. It's like you have
yeah.
no choice but to take action through movement. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean, and that's what I say to everybody all the time. I'm like, listen, I work out to like take care of physique. Like if I'm not ready to run, but I have to run because otherwise I go crazy.
Yeah, Sagittariuses and their need to move their legs constantly.
Yeah, I had a tea leaf reader told me a long time ago. She was like, listen, she told me a bunch of stuff, but I remember she was like, listen, there are horses. And she was like, you need to
There are
run.
horses.
Like, you need to run like the horses. And I was like, listen, lady, I love to run. She was like, you have to, like, just keep running. And I'm like, okay, because that was a long time ago. And for sure, I think about that. But when I don't run, I just feel like it's like, I don't know if it is Mars, it might be, but it just feels like pent up, like just energy.
Well,
you
I
know?
mean, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a prediction that this pent up energy you're feeling is gonna be released over the next 18 months, I will say, because for the following reason, right? So you have Mercury in Sagittarius natally, right? Now, Mercury, when it goes retrograde, it does it in spurts where it does it in the same element of the signs, right? It'll retrograde in fire signs. That's what it's retrograding in now is fire signs. We did have it
No,
in Earth. I'm sorry.
that's why I feel it.
Yeah, so yeah, now it's retrograding in fire signs. So the Mercury retrograde is going to be a lot more like impactful for you. Like you also have all these fire placements. So I would say that like and it's the 2nd, the 10th and the 6th is the houses that are being activated, which is like the work houses, right? So this kind of pent up thing about, you know, um wanting to have a job that's fun and wanting to do it, I think you may find over the course of these next few Mercury retrogrades, I think you might find that coming together, right? And so, I would just, go and look at the ephemeris, go and look for when Mercury's going to station retrograde. This is a little bit beyond the scope of this kind of reading, but, if you want to know more, I would just go and look and see if there's any of these fire retrogrades where he's going to be stationing either retrograde or direct and is going to be making an aspect within a couple of degrees of one of your fire placements. And I would look for that to be eventful, right? Because when Mercury it starts retrograding in the triplicity that it is in your natal chart, eventful things typically happen, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It seems exciting. And you're going to be in a 7th house perfection year in December. You're in a fire one right now. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe take a look at this because it's going to retrograde in Sagittarius this winter. So, take a look at that and see what the degrees are of its retrograde because there could be some cool Mercury related upgrades to your work and reputation and money around then, you know?
I
Uh,
love that so much. What a cool prediction, too.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm looking forward to continuing to develop that. And, I think maybe it's Jupiterian, maybe it's Martian, whatever the fuck. I just think it's worth it to keep trying different things. And if something doesn't work, then try something else.
And I did want to point out that the lot of
But
spirit, there's a degree that's actually about horse racing, and it's about jockeys trying to outrace each other. And it's at Pisces 9 degrees. So that's the truth degree of your lot of spirit. And foot massages and pedicures can really help that like restless energy. It sounds insane, but if you have placements around that 9 degrees of Pisces, that energy is so important to have great foot care. So just another
it's
excuse.
crazy. I get hella foot massages.
Good. Good.
I want, you know what? I'm going to say something. And I don't care because Ruben says it. He says it all the time. His mom, was a nurse and was on her feet all the time. And they would be in the living room, whatever, she would put her feet up and he had to massage them. So he's learned since he was a child.
So you got to put
Shout out to the nurse mom.
So
that
I
sounds
just
great.
I just put my feet on top of him and it's just like muscle memory.
Yeah, my Pisces Mars is pretty jealous. I love a good
Yeah,
foot
I
rub.
know. So that's you mentioned that, and that's the one thing. Like we exchange massages all the time. That's like something that we do because I feel like I need a massage at times, and Ruben like really needs like I have to like get the knots, and so part of that's foot massages too.
Yes, you deserve it.
No, it's good. I think it's nice. Like I would do it. Would massage myself too. So
Massages are the best. I get them every once in a while, and it's been like a new thing for me. And it's part of just like actually taking care of myself and putting that love back into myself. And not that I don't get massages at home from my partner, but it's like definitely something that feels like your body can just actually relax for once, and then you don't have to worry about all this stress and tension. And it's like if you can do that for other people, man, it's such a gift. Ooh, we have somebody from the chat talking about their chart that they want read. That's cool. From
Yes,
Germany.
yes. Well,
We're
thank you
getting
for
more.
coming
Ruben,
on, Mariah. We are
Yeah.
we are trying to make this one shorter, so we're probably just gonna move on. But thank you so much for coming on. I
no, thank
really
you. This was amazing.
appreciate it.
Thank you. This was so much fun. Thank you
Thank
both.
you.
Yes. Do I have to leave it?
I can just
I
turn
think
you
she just
off.
removes you.
Yeah. All right, she's gone. Right.
There we go. And now
Okay,
we have
so
Anonymous Ancient. What a cool YouTube name.
yeah. Okay, let's we will pull your chart up here, Anonymous. Let me just do that. Can you, Gracie, can you tell me what is
Absolutely. It's going to
information
be
is?
August 3rd, 1991.
Okay.
And that was in Cologne, Germany at 12:05 p.m. Oh my gosh, we
Born
have
with
so
the
many
sun
people
on the
flooding the chat.
midheaven.
Yeah,
12,
I love those
what?
noon charts.
12:05 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I've got it up. Let me start sharing the screen again. Okay, here we go. All right, can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay,
Looks
cool.
great.
All right. Here we go. All right, so let's take a look here. What do we got?
Ooh, so this is fun because Venus ruled chart, and Venus is at my one of my favorite degrees of Virgo just because it's my dad's sun degree, and it's represented in the Sabian symbols as a harem. And it's the Libra degree, obviously, too, with being that 7. So that's really cool because it's very much like women are like having a group of women in this person's life is very crucial to their like well-being and their relationships and like forming a community. Even with that Venus retrograde, it's even more important that they have those like solid foundations, or else relationships with women will be very intense, or at least guarded at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I know Venus is retrograde here, and Venus is kind of hurt by retrogrades, but she's trying the moon here, and she rules over the moon. So Venus is able to draw on support from the moon here, although she's
Yeah.
drawing it from the eighth house. So it might be, it might not be the exactly the kind of support you want. It could be support that's like not as that maybe it comes from other places where you are not really kind of in control, right? Where it's like you'll receive support. Your Venus will receive support, but maybe not in the most predictable way, and maybe not in the way that you would like. But I mean, this Virgo stellium here, um, with Venus sandwiched in between Mercury and Mars. I could see this as being someone that really likes to do artistic work with their hands, right? Especially because it's witnessing the moon, and it's also aspecting all of these outers down here. I think that this could be, perhaps someone that does some kind of artwork, or uh, some other kind of creative expression that involves artifice, right? Like making it could be with the hands, right? Like a sculpture or something, or it could also be um, let's see what else is involved here. It could also be like a just an appreciation for like group endeavors, right? Like you see these Virgo stelliums when Venus is there a lot with uh, dancers, people involved in plays, people involved in making art that involves like the input of multiple people. I don't know if you can reply in the chat and tell me if I'm completely off base or
Yes,
not.
we do have a response. Anonymous Ancient says, absolutely not in control, always living for and uplifting others, literally managing people's lives from the back stage. Very much an artist's soul. Am also very reclusive.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, going by whole sign, this stellium is in your 12th house, right? So this could lead to feeling like unseen, or perhaps that like, these artistic dreams are not always forthcoming, but um I think once this, like your natal chart is always changing when you think about progressions, right? And you're once this moves out of your 12th house. I mean, it probably already has by your progressions. It's probably already moved out of your 12th by yeah. But I mean, uh, I don't know. I think it might get better as you get older. But the other thing is that the lot of spirit being conjunct Neptune is a big one for like kind of visual art or photography, especially. And Neptune's also angular. Um, Neptune is trining these other things, the moon and here. So, I mean, I like this chart for a creative, for an artist. I feel like you could do some unconventional art that involves manipulating images, right? And, kind of putting a new spin on something that's like common, right? Like, because when Neptune's involved, it's kind of like revealing the mystery in like the ordinary, right? That's kind of how I look at it.
Ooh, that's a great
So
description.
yeah, I don't know, Gracie, what do you think about this chart?
I really love everything you said. And Anonymous Ancient said, I'm super confused about my North Node opposing my natal fortune. Could you shine some light on that, maybe? The arts part is so reassuring. I'm trying to start something creative and move away from financial analysis. That's very interesting with that exalted moon in the 8th house, and you're doing financial analysis. I love that.
Yeah, that also makes sense with this stuff being in the 11th and the 8th, right?
Very analytical.
Yeah, that would lend itself towards that. Now, in terms of financial, so your sixth house is Jupiter, midheaven's the moon, Jupiter's in Leo.
That North Node is at a diabolical degree in degree theory, just
Mm,
as it's very like can be menacing, and especially in the 4th house, that's very secretive, very closed off. It almost feels like a watery grave to some people where ambition can go to just plummet. And yet it's so cool because there's so much to do there with Capricorn. Capricorn lives by going to the highest highs and saying, I'm not transformed enough. I'm going to go do it again. And it's the sea goat. It's not always just the goat. It's the sea goat, and it's the balance of being able to transform constantly. Having that so close to so many outer planets, like you were talking about, Alex, and also having Saturn in the 4th house, home might not have been the most easy to rest your mind place or to be creative, but with Saturn ruling your 5th house, I think that's a very cool um thing to look at, because Saturn at that 2 degrees, you're being rocked by Pluto a little bit, but having Saturn retrograde is going to help with that impact, and Pluto retrograde at the moment. That degree is like the unexpected thunderstorm degree in the Sabian symbols, 2 degrees Aquarius. So it's also my dad's rising sign. So he has this loud, insane voice.
Mm.
and it rattles people all the time. And so it could be like a lot of yelling behind closed doors, but having a peaceful place to rest your head and like to kind of ease your mind at the end of the day is going to help you the most, I feel like, especially with that below horizon situation.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing with the nodes, so you asked about node and lot of fortune. Um, so with the lots, I kind of delineate those kind of like by rulership, and if there is a very close conjunction of a placement to the lot, like you're here with the Neptune, I'll consider it. But I feel like this is a little bit wide, right? I think that the bigger thing that you're going to be running into trouble with these nodes is the fact that they're right on your MCIC, right? So, this can be an uncomfortable kind of placement, right? I have this in my natal chart. I have the nodes exactly conjunct the angles, just like you do. And, you
I do
know,
too.
yeah. So this is gonna make eclipses kind of even more intense for you than they are for most people, right? Um, I would also say that you will probably have more success if you move away from where you're born, right? Just to get in your relocated chart these nodes off of your angles, right? And perhaps this feeling drained and feeling like work is like something that everyone else is expecting from you and you don't have, like you're not getting much out of it. The south node on the midheaven can be like, it can be like being a servant to other people and like not getting, basically. I think that if you want recognition for yourself, you may want to consider not even a huge move, if even if you can just get the node off the angles by a few degrees, I think that would help.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, you can't just run away from all your problems, and that's not what I'm suggesting. But if you do find, something like that, I think that would be good. Another thing that I just noticed here is that the nodes are actually, they're doing this thing called stationing direct, right? So like the nodes ordinarily move in retrograde, but there is a point in the moon's orbit every month. There's a couple of points where the nodes will temporarily shift direct for a couple of days, right? Now, this has the effect of like basically the moon is not going to be the moon is not going to be as much of a ruling planet for your persona, right? So you're not going to have as many Taurian qualities as you would Leo or Libra, right? So, but it's going to free up the moon for other things, right? Because the moon is in this zone with the nodes, she doesn't have to, really put a whole lot into your personality. The moon is able to bring you other things like increased sensitivity, right? Intuition, right? I think, and being in the eighth house, I would say, kind of maybe lean into, and the moon rules your lot of fortune, right? So maybe if you, yeah, I would say that that this moon here could help give you insight into other people and could help, uh, I don't know, I don't want to say psychic, but very, at least very, you know, like if you feel like your life is too analytical, and then I would try and lean into this Taurus moon placement that you've got because it does show that you do have these kind of sensitivities that could be further developed, right? And I think that will go a long way towards your artistic ambitions, right? I mean that moon. I mean this grand Earth trine is it's powerful, right? But it's unwieldy, right? Especially because you've got your chart ruler Venus retrograde, and so it's like all of these ideas and all these visions, but you can't funnel them down, right? And so instead you kind of just do something that is easy, but that you might not necessarily enjoy that much. So I don't know. I think working on this could be beneficial, especially if you can, because a lot of fortune is ruled by the moon. So the moon is going to have some kind of impact on your fate, right? I would say lean into the moon and try to, pay attention to your personal moon cycles, right? And see what she's trying to tell you, because I think the moon has an out for you in this chart. I think the moon, the other thing is when the moon is in this zone with the nodes, where it's like this latent effect where the moon doesn't, the moon takes a while to come online, right? And it's like not until you are older that the moon is fully going to kind of blossom. I mean, I think really in your 30s, which you're in, you're 30, you're gonna be 34. No, 33. So, I mean, 33 is also a big year because that's the year that, you'll have your Mercury return during your solar return, right? Yeah, I would explore some of that stuff this year, right? I would think, when this year coming up, starting in August, I would think about that because Mercury returning to its natal placement during your solar return is kind of like, Abu Mashar calls it retaking the oath, right? And it's where Mercury kind of finally brings his natal promise to you. So this Mercury here does have some powerful artistic output to give, and I think he might be coming into some fruition for this next year coming up. I mean, 33 is a big year. It's the Jesus year, as they call it, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's exciting. I would things to look forward to.
Yes, that's absolutely spot on. Anonymous Ancient said, everything is so true. I moved to Japan from Germany. Also asked, would it be advisable for me to go public as in social media content creation and so forth, or will I be better off acting from the shadows? I do end up doing one-on-one therapy sometimes with people kind of involuntarily. Everything rings so true, Alex. You're reading me like a book.
Aw, thank you. I'm glad that it's helping. Now, in terms of like your public persona, right? So you do have the sun advancing towards the midheaven, right? That's good for being out in public, right, and having other people perceive you. Um, Now, it might not be the most comfortable thing for you, though, right? Because you have this Capricorn and Aquarius, all this action down here towards the IC, right? And whenever I see clients that have a ton of placements down towards the IC, they tend to be very private, right? But you are anonymous, but you're at least getting your chart read online, so maybe you're not as sensitive to that as other people. But I know several people with fourth house stelliums, and they can be cagey about, like, especially if, like, one of my best friends, he's like got a huge Capricorn fourth house stellium, and he hates it when I am sentimental and tell him that, like, oh, you're one of my best friends, dude. That shit makes him really uncomfortable. So but you
Same
mentioned
with my best friend. Like, we do
no,
not have
we
photos
do. Yeah,
together. We don't
we're not
hug. We're
you're not
just
my
like, yes, we enjoy each other's company, but let's not talk about it. Bye.
But you said you've been a counselor, kind of done that role, and you feel comfortable with that. I mean, but again, then you're not revealing much about yourself. You're really holding space for the other person, right? Which I would expect with this Jupiter and Sun advancing to the midheaven, you would be able to hold space for other people. So I think that, I mean, there's nothing here that says that you shouldn't. I just think that it might be a bit uncomfortable for you, and that you may have to work out some internal things, that conflicts about you have about, like, your own self perception and how other people are going to perceive you, right? Because I can sense that there'll be like some reticence towards that, and maybe like being like, oh yeah, I want to put myself out there until someone actually sees me, right? Then I feel self conscious, right? So, if you can resolve that, then I think it looks great for you would probably catch a lot of attention with this culminating Leo sun, right?
I really think there's also potential here for radicalizing a new type of therapy through being in nature or a community of some sort. When you look at the 11th house, that Mercury at 5 degrees Virgo, that is my part of fortune. and it's all about nature spirits and a waterfall and a man realizing there's nature spirits all around. And then the Venus being at the a harem degree, which is all about that building that sense of community, which is in the house of community, even though it is retrograde. It might take you a long time to find those people. Doesn't necessarily have to be women, but it's that type of community nurtured environment that you can build when you feel like you are safe, and that's going to come, I feel like, later in life. 33 for me, 10th house perfection year. I rage quit social media, my media network that I had built from the ground up. I now have a Google alert from my old media days that the most searched term for me, my full name, also is followed by obituary.
Oh my
Because
gosh, for
no
real.
one knows where I went. They just know that I used to be this huge public figure in my hometown, and now I changed my phone number, I changed all this stuff, and no one can find me. But I'm like, I've been on ESPN, I've been like working nonstop in my astrology world. So it's like I'm hidden in plain sight. The 11th house has like a little bit of a problem with getting a lot of people thinking that they're going to like fix things or be their like leader just by proxy. So you might find a lot of people like clinging on to you for all the answers sometimes. When you said the kind of involuntarily thing with therapy, that rings true a lot with my 11th house placement. Sometimes people just find you and tell you things, but that could be just my Cancer rising. But having Cancer on the angles, it's very intense. I'm very impressed by just the fact that you want to do content creation and you want to be in that spotlight at all. You can always lean into it. There is support there. If you do it in like, I feel like more of a community setting, it would be easier, but that's just my perspective.
Well, yeah. I mean, another thing that would be a testimony in favor of this for this chart is that the ruler of the seventh house is Mars in the 11th, right? So the ruler of the seventh in the 11th is a really kind of cool placement, or ruler of the 11th in the seventh. Either way, um, the 11th, 7th interactions tend to make someone very open-minded, very
Yes.
willing to try new ideas, meet new people, experiment with things. And it also will mean that you will gain through your relationships with others, right? So it's like the seventh would be your audience, right? And the ruler of the seventh in the 11th is prophet. So it's like, if
Bam.
if you can interact with the world, and if, because it's Aries, maybe you'll be a bit provocative, right? Maybe you'll be a bit spicy, right? And get people talking, right?
Anonymous Ancient is blown away by the accuracy. Said it all makes so much more sense now. Thank you both so much. You helped me so much. The accuracy is insane. Gracie, Alex, I look forward to continue supporting this channel.
Aw,
That's
thank
really
you so
cool.
much. Yeah, thank you. Cool. Well, is there any parting thoughts you wanted to add on this chart, Gracie?
No, I was just going to mention that we do have some more charts in the chat.
Oh,
Yamini
okay.
Jane put their birth information in there if you are ready for one more.
Yeah, let's do one more real quick. All right. Let me, yeah, just all right, give me the information.
It's May 11th, 2001. I just thought a little bit younger chart would be cool to look at too.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in Dubai, the UAE, at 8:12 a.m.
All right. Let's just go back to sharing. Got it pulled up. All right, here we go. All right, this looks all right. So we've got 29 degrees Gemini rising. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Okay. Wow. Um, that Mars exactly on the descendant. Um,
Who'd you kill in a past life? That's
and
amazing.
it's stationing as well. Oh. Uh, Yeah, it would have been. Oh, well, yeah, we'll have just stationed retrograde too. Okay. So, yeah, so and the moon is also on the other side of the angle. Have you, I mean, I don't want to be negative, but yeah, I've seen other charts with this where they end up having a lot of problems with men, right?
Mm,
Where men will kind of
that's
come
very interesting.
disrupt their life in some way, right? Like, especially because it's Mars and Moon on the angle. It's like, and Mars is retrograding back into the sixth from the seventh. So
Hmm.
lovers become enemies kind of thing,
Ooh.
or like men kind of like it like your Capricorn moon. You have a Capricorn moon, which is good, so you can tolerate some of this, right? But it's still like I don't know. Yeah, that does not look easy. However, you do have um, this. You've got the sun trine the moon, right? Which is always good. That usually makes people very pretty, right? You see a lot of models with sun trine moon. Um, it's in a wide aspect, but I think that's still viable because I use like 15 degrees for the moon. You know, let's see what else. I mean, there's this big Gemini stellium in the 12th. I mean, no wonder this person likes occult subjects, right? I'll just say that. Like Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter, all in Gemini in the 12th. And Mercury is at 8 degrees Gemini, which is a very like occult degree. Like a lot of that Dan Waits has a series about 8 degrees Gemini and how it's associated with lots of occult things. So, you've got a lot of fortune being ruled by Saturn, trine. Oh, and Neptune stationary trine Mercury. Okay, this is cool. So this is like because Neptune and Mercury trine is very good for being intuitive, being like a reader, being like kind of having psychic intuition. Like I really like that, right? So you know, um, maybe once maybe that's like the saving grace here because even though this Mars and Moon on the angle might cause drama or problems, you can probably see it coming with this trine here, right? And that maybe you can avert the worst of it. So I don't know. Um, I've been going for a minute. I'll let Gracie take over for a second.
You're fine. I love the brain burst. It's really cool to see how other people start to delineate. Just really, I love the process. Gemini moon over here. The first thing I would love to dive into is the 29th degree of Sagittarius. It is one of my most poignant degrees. It is a very I think enlightening degree because it can show us the worst and best of people. It is represented in the Sabian symbols by a fat boy mowing the lawn, and it is under the guise of forced labor or forced chores or someone doing things that are outside of their physical means. In my mind, and a lot of my work, I have noticed that it is the degree of insecure men at its worst, and at its best, it's these wise ancient teachers that have gone through the ridicule and the scrutiny that the 29th degree of Sagittarius can bring, especially with that being the descendant as well. It's such a interesting thing because Yamini mentioned in the chat that she never dated before, and I have found most men to be incredibly cold. I've wanted to know more about the Mars, and that Yamini said I love astrology, perfect. But it's interesting that most men you find cold because I feel like with that in the sixth house, you're looking at more of, I would feel like, well, sixth house or seventh house, obviously, a whole sign, but having that sort of insecurity in the physical body could easily translate to the seventh house as well of relationships. And it's interesting that you were mentioning the I guess, degree of Gemini that's kind of the occult degree because it's represented by aroused strikers surround a factory. So it's like we're not going to take it anymore energy. It's like this mental awakening. So I really love that like rabble rousing kind of energy of this degree. And then
Yes.
the next degree of that is a medieval archer degree, and the degree after that is the degree that I've been studying a lot lately, which is an airplane diving towards the Earth as it's falling. Just because upcoming Uranus and Gemini, and then Jupiter going across the 10 degree, and all the action in the 10 degree Gemini happening. I was looking at the plane stuff, but I do love the Saturn and Gemini in the 12th house. I feel like that's more of like a clown-ish Saturn and not necessarily a
Yes.
intensity. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I love Saturn in Gemini.
Yes.
Saturn in Gemini is, almost better than Saturn in Libra, but not quite. I mean, actually, Saturn in Aquarius is my least favorite of the Saturn air signs,
That
but
yeah, that it's really rough placement for sure.
yeah, but the Gemini is cool because it's kind of like this Saturn, Saturn's like boundaries and like how Saturn is like, like the limits of things, right? And the extremes. When Saturn's in Gemini, the person gets to play with those and switch back and forth. And so the rigidity that's normally associated with Saturn is not there. Additionally, this person has Saturn ruling the ninth house and Mercury is ruling Saturn, and then it's Jupiter's here. I could see this as being like very good for like a propagandist, right? Someone that takes hidden information and like leaks it, or does
Yes.
some kind of activist work, some kind of publishing stuff, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just getting like WikiLeaks vibes, or like,
I feel
uh,
like it's that moon in Capricorn too, willing to detach from emotion to get the
yeah,
mission done. Yes.
yeah, it's like exposing the bullshit that goes on, right? And I think that, this perhaps this Mars on your descendant is gonna make you like more wary and suspicious, right? And can fuel this, right? I mean, because Mars is also ruling your Venus, and like Venus is like, okay, guys, leave me alone, like,
Yes.
like but I don't know. I like it. I also like the lot of fortune and um, being ruled here in the ninth by whole sign. I think if you could do something good with perhaps being a writer, and I think that if you did, your words would evoke strong reactions from people due to this angular moon and Mars, right? So I think you can harness this, this thing that has made you feel like men are very cold and inaccessible, right? You can flip that on its head and instead use this to push out ideas that other people might find objectionable or unpalatable at first, but provoke thought and ultimately get them to change their mind about serious issues. Because I don't know, this chart seems like someone that wants to bring things out into the light, right? And get it out of the 12th house, right? And put it in somewhere else.
Yeah, let's like 12th house year too, 23.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
very much with Venus ruling that. I like that because with Neptune going into Aries, I feel like that might be the time to date because right now with Neptune squaring your Mars, I can only imagine that in the 10th house is like breaking illusion of what you thought men were, and like maybe that Neptune, but Neptune in Aries is also, very, it's going to be a very spicy time. So dating might not be anything that you're looking forward to at all. Having that Jupiter ruled 7th house and having Jupiter in your 12th house, you might just, have dating from a distance. If you find somebody, maybe a long distance pen pal, you write and your writing, attracts somebody to you, or somebody admires your work and reaches out. There's so much that the 12th house can offer as far as talents and things that are hidden behind, closed doors, of course, but also that are just subconscious and they're innate and you cannot escape them. And people with all those, you know, I think those are some fun planets to have in the 12th house. I have a moon in Chiron in the 12th house and Gemini. So I can
Yeah,
only imagine.
it's excellent if you want to do any kind of work in the occult or even in institutions. I mean, I see a lot
Yes.
of 12th house placements It's
So much
also,
healing.
yeah, you've also got this sixth house stuff going on. So, I have seen doctors, nurses, people that work in prisons, lawyers, basically any person that deals with institutionalized populations has a lot of 12th, 6th activation, right? So that would be another area that you would probably excel at, is working with people that are in institutions. And it can also be like retreats, right? Or psychological things, right? Like therapists
Ooh,
often have this. However,
Yamini is an actor that is also interested in screenwriting. So I love all that writing
yeah,
commentary. That was so spot on,
cool.
Alex.
Nice. Yeah. Great. Oh, that's really cool. I'm glad you have a natural instinct for writing. I think that you would. Um, yeah, although I would say though that this moon Mars on the angle, splitting the angle, that that you may want to be careful with that, because the same thing that can make you provocative and interesting to other people could also maybe rub people the wrong way, right? Like if you have these planets on the angles, right? Like, at least it's not Mercury there. If it was Mercury there, then you'd be a real troublemaker, right? At least it's the moon, right? But yeah, like, so I don't know. I really like this chart, and I have to say that I am not surprised at all that you are into astrology. I mean, this is
Right.
you have multiple signatures for an astrologer, so yeah, keep going and keep up that writing. That sounds like that's great.
Yes. And Yamini says, thank you so much for the insight on Moon Mars.
Cool. Here, let me just stop this for a moment.
And Barbara Banfield says, comedian comes to mind. Yes.
Oh, yes, yes, definitely, definitely.
A very feisty one, perhaps. Gets the people going.
Yes, yes, very provocative. So we actually have, I think we have one more person that's calling in to
Perfect.
do their charts. So I'm going to let's see what this person has to say. They sent me a message on Twitter. It said they wanted to join, so I've given them the link.
All right.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello?
hello. Who's this?
Well, my name's right on the screen. It's Daryl Whitehead.
Okay. Hello, Daryl. Do you want to get
Yeah.
your chart read?
Listen, I got a big fat fucking bone to pick with your show.
Really?
Don't act like you don't know. And if you don't know my name yet, you'll know it tonight.
Right. Okay.
Daryl
What's your bone
Whitehead.
to pick? What's your bone to pick?
I know you know that. I know you know this because you intentionally target the youth of this country, kids in this country. My son watches your show. You know what's happened to him over the course of just a couple semesters in school? He's 19. He's supposed to be in college. What's he doing? What you think he's doing? He's been watching your show for the past 2 years.
Okay. And
What do you think he's doing?
what's the
I'm
problem with the
asking you.
show? I mean, probably learning about astrology and trying to figure out his natal promise, I'd imagine.
It's the first problem I have with your show, because what you call astrology is witchcraft.
Okay.
He's learning. He paints his nails. He dyed his hair purple. Me and his mom are worried sick, and it all started with your show.
Really, really. Well, I mean,
What you think I'm fucking? What you think I'm fucking with you? This is not a joke. His soul is at stake. His soul is at stake. He stopped going to church. We had a nice family. We had a nice family before your show came on.
Okay.
You got nothing to say
Right.
for yourself.
I
Your
mean,
types never do. And you don't know.
maybe
Do not
he's
interrupt
just
me.
got Venus in detriment and likes to paint his nails.
Listen
you
to
know?
me. I know.
Yeah, first of all, that's called self-expression. Let's just calm down, Daryl.
You tell me to calm down. It's my son. Did you feed him and clothe him for the first 19 years of his life? I don't think you did. So you don't tell me to calm down. And I know your types is all the same. Because what you do, I hear your stream. I went on I listened to it because he's supposed to be watching good content. He's supposed to be watching stuff. And he's good with computers, so he gets past the family locks and all that stuff we try to put on it. But what I saw made my blood turn cold. And you're talking, I know you're making money off this shit too, because I hear every stream, I hear you talk about, oh, we got 8 houses, we got 7 houses, we got 11 houses. You're buying houses all over this damn country with the money you're making off the stream. So you can't tell
You're
me
absolutely right.
Actually,
Is
we
this
have
funny
12
to you?
houses.
Is this funny to you?
It's a little bit funny, actually.
Aiden, shut up. I
Daryl,
got him
you
right
have
here.
12 houses too.
Well, look, do you want your chart read or not, Daryl? Right? I mean, I'm
wouldn't let you.
open-minded. I'm willing to.
I wouldn't let you touch it with the 10-foot pole. My chart. The only thing I need to steer me in the right direction is the good Lord. I don't need you. I don't need you and your cohorts, your devil worshipers, your Anton Chigurhs, your Satan worshipers. I don't need them. I got God on my side, and I got Trump.
You got God on your side, right?
And Trump to a lesser extent, to a slightly lesser extent. I have Trump also.
Right. Well, Trump had kind of a bad day today. So, is this why you're calling in to just like take out your frustrations on two poor little astrologers?
You poor little y'all have 20 houses or something. You're poor little astrologers. You can't even call yourself poor. You're talking about how many houses you buy on the daily. You're bragging about it on stream right in front of us all. You're rubbing it in our faces. And meanwhile, my son, he's dressing like that movie, that guy in that movie, The Crow.
The Crow.
But he's not getting pussy out of it neither. So, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. Okay? I grew up in the 80s. We dressed like Motley Crue. We dressed like chicks, but we were getting pussy doing it. It ain't happening with he's just hanging out with fat chicks at school.
All right.
It ain't right.
All right. I mean, look, there's no need to go that far. I mean, come on. Do not get on your high horse. Do not get on your high horse. Act like you got morals all of a sudden. You're corrupting my son. You're corrupting other kids that watch your stream. You know that.
Daryl, I have a very serious question.
I don't know how many millions of dollars y'all get from this, because I don't know how internet finance works. But the point is, if you're buying houses everywhere and you got it's a microphone that looks like it's made out of silver. You got these, I don't even know what they look like, ancient steps in the background. So you got nice fancy places that you get from the money you make off this stream. Meanwhile, kids like my son, nice decent kids, nice good kids, good American kids, are watching your shit, and then they're drawing pentagrams on my hardwood. So what do you have to say for that? You got nothing to say for it because you're morally bankrupt.
I would encourage both of you to get a astrology reading from me. You can book at my website, and and
how much does that cost? How much does that cost? A cool million? A cool million for a reading? Why? So you can buy another house in the Florida Keys? Yeah, no thanks. I think I'll pass, sweetheart.
Okay, Daryl. Well, thank you for calling in and sharing your perspective, but I think we have to wrap it up. So we're gonna.
Oh, how convenient! Running away, typical liberal move, typical liberal pussy move. Let's go, Brandon. 2024. Yeah, run away like y'all always do.
Okay, all right. Well, that was something, right?
That was, boy.
I guess
sounds like a very upset man.
People are not. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't like what I said about Trump. I don't know.
Taking it out on you.
I don't know. I mean, but his son Aiden sounds like a nice kid,
Right.
Painting his nails and dressing like the Crow. I mean, he seems interesting, right?
Right. And we don't want people that, are just so mainstream that they can't see the joy of maybe taking a chance on the cosmos.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a lovely time this evening, but I think we are going to wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in, everyone, and getting your charts read. We are going to be back in about a month. Details will be coming, but we're going to try and make this a monthly thing. So if anyone is interested in having their chart read, please just comment or send me or Gracie, either one of us, a message on Twitter or an email, and we will line it up so that you can appear on the show. And yeah, we'll have a great time.
Yes. And I do have just a quick announcement that my next copy of my magazine that comes out with all the angles, so all the different seasons, and the next one will be summer solstice. So we will have a new issue out and it's free. Although apparently we have 20 houses. It is a free magazine. There is no charge whatsoever. And I look forward to it. And this show has been so
I
fun,
mean,
trolls
yeah,
aside, you
you're
know?
just proving him right now. The fact that you can afford to give this magazine, this great resource away for free, just proves that he has a point with us privileged astrologers with 20 houses. We can just do all this work for free. I mean, no, I really respect what you're doing, Gracie. Hold the
Thank
magazine
you.
up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone
It's
go check this out.
I know
Um,
it might be backwards, but it's got all
yeah,
sorts of content. Mariah, that was just in or she was just on the balcony, is in here. She wrote an article about the Gnosticism of spring. So definitely more
very cool.
information on her there. But yeah, I've just had so much fun writing it. And we have a feature on Jeff Bezos and Amazon coming for
Okay,
for
interesting.
this issue. And yeah, just a lot of cool stuff with astrology and nature. So thank
And
you
that
for letting
comes
me.
out on the solstice.
Yes, June 20th. We'll have it out for everyone.
Okay, great. Yeah, go and link to both of our websites is in the description, and there's a link to her link tree where you can find the magazine. You can download the PDF or order a hard copy, right?
Yes, we have those. And I have a free Astrology 101 book too, if you're a little bit lost with all this stuff. So, Daryl, if you're watching, I hope you check out the free Astrology 101 book and start putting pentagrams on your fingernails too. I've managed to not have any pentagrams, so not sure where that one's coming from.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's like the Venus star point. Maybe that he's confused with that.
Ooh.
Who knows? All right, guys. But yeah, go check out Gracie's magazine. It's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for it. Who knows? Maybe I'll do something for the next issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just stay tuned, and we'll give an update on when we're going to be live again. We're still trying to work out the schedule for the next death match and then this one. But I should have an announcement coming in about a week or so. So yeah, thanks you for tuning in, everyone. Have a great time.